For years, there was a quiet perk to being a manager. Not the title, not the pay bump, the engagement. People who managed others used to be more locked into their work than the people they managed. More invested, more bought in. Call it the manager's premium. Well, that premium just collapsed. And it didn't collapse slowly, it fell off a cliff in the last 12 months. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, and wherever you happen to be right now. I'm Mike Voories, here to help you build a stronger team. Today, we're taking a hard look at a massive blind spot in your business. We're talking about why your managers are checking out, why your leadership pipeline is cracking, and why it's entirely in your power to fix it. Gallup's latest global workplace research just confirmed what many of us have been feeling in the field. Manager engagement worldwide is down 9 points since 2022. And the worst of that drop, 5 full points, happened in the last year alone. Managers went from 27% engaged to 22% in 12 months. Globally, fewer than 1 in 4 people managing other people are actually engaged in their own work. Here in the United States, that number is slightly better. We're sitting at 36%. But let's be honest with each other. Better than a global low is not a metric you brag about. It's not a number you put on a recruiting brochure. It means roughly 2/3 of your management layer is just going through the motions. And here's the part that should stop you in your tracks. In organizations that actually do well, the best practice companies that Gallup tracks, manager engagement sits at 79%, almost 4 times the global average. And that 79% is not luck, right? They do not have access to a secret labor pool. They're not operating in a different economy. That is a gap that gets closed on purpose by business owners and leaders who decide to close it. So let's talk about what this looks like on the front lines, right? When Gallup talks about managers, they're not just picturing someone in a corporate high-rise. They mean anyone with people reporting to them. Let's translate that into our world, to the green industry, the service industries, and to operational businesses everywhere. We're talking about your branch manager, your operations manager, your production manager. And one level down from them, really, it's your crew leads and your foremen, the frontline versions of those exact same roles. And here's why this matters for every single business leader listening right now. Disengagement does not stay where it starts. It flows downhill and it picks up speed on the way down. What does this actually look like in your day-to-day operations? It looks like a branch manager standing in the yard at 6 a.m., holding a clipboard, but not actually looking at anything. They stop checking the trucks before they roll out. They stop pulling the new guy aside to coach him on a piece of equipment. They just hand out the route sheets, drink their coffee, and walk back to the office. They're physically present, but operationally absent. When your branch manager is not more engaged than the crew leaders reporting to them, the crew leads see it immediately. And they think, why should I care about my crew efficiency if the boss doesn't even care, right? Then your crews start cutting corners. Customer complaints roll in and equipment gets damaged. You look at that and you think you have a problem, right? The crews need motivating, maybe is the problem. That's not it. You have a leadership problem, and it starts a lot higher up than where you're looking. The easy move here is to deflect. The status quo is to blame the labor market, to blame the economy, to say, this generation just doesn't want to step up and lead. I don't buy it. And honestly, I've been part of the problem myself. Here's the pattern that plays out in almost every operational business. You have somebody on a crew who's sharp. They're reliable. They show up early. They handle pressure well, and the rest of the guys respect them. So you promote them. You make them a branch manager, an ops manager, or a foreman, or whatever it is. And then, and this is the part nobody wants to admit, you walk away. You call it trust. You say you don't want to micromanage them, but it's not trust. It's set it and forget it management. We tie this to the ridiculous idea that people should just hit the ground running. We assume that once somebody has a title, asking for support is basically admitting they can't handle the job. So the new manager stops asking for help because they don't want to look incompetent, right? And you stop offering help because you assume they have it figured out. And what's the psychological cost of all this? That manager becomes an anvil. Ownership hammering down on them for margins, routing, and revenue. The crews are hammering up at them about pay, broken gear, and long hours. They absorb all the impact with zero support. 18 months later, you're sitting in your office wondering why your best promotion in years is quietly checked out or quietly job hunting on their lunch break. I've watched this happen across 30 years in this industry. I've watched good owners do it to good people. I've done it myself. You promote somebody because they've earned it. And then you treat that promotion like the finish line instead of the starting line. Or maybe it's not even a promotion. Maybe our recruiting strategy is just to hire a manager that can hit the ground running, which is usually code for hiring somebody who's about to be alienated and totally ignored. Managers are not a set it and forget it investment. They're team members. They need the exact same ongoing attention, coaching, and development you expect them to give the people under them. So how do we fix this? How do we build that 79% engagement? Here's exactly where you need to look this week. I've got 3 questions for you. And don't just nod along. I want you to actually answer them for your own business. Question 1. Is your branch manager or ops manager, whatever, getting any real development? Or did that stop the day you handed them the title? Development does not mean teaching them how to use the new CRM software. Real development is teaching them how to handle a toxic employee. It's role-playing a hard conversation, right? It's sitting down with them and showing them how to actually read a P&L statement so they understand the business. You must actively train your managers to manage. Question 2. Are they getting recognition or are they just absorbing pressure from both directions? When was the last time you pulled your ops manager aside and simply told them they handled a rough client perfectly? If all you do is point out the fires that they missed, you're burning them out. There has to be reciprocal flow of energy, right? Ownership can't just push down. You must also lift up. Question number 3. Do they have actual input on the decisions that affect their branch? Or are they just one who delivers decisions that get made without them? Nothing kills engagement faster than stripping a leader of their autonomy. If you're changing the schedule, buying new trucks, or adjusting crew pay, and your branch manager finds out the same time as everyone else, you've turned a leader into a messenger, right? Bring them into the room. Let them argue their case. Let them help build the plan. If you don't like your answers to those 3 questions, don't panic. It's not a crisis, at least not yet. It's information, right? Use it. Schedule a one-on-one with your manager this week. Don't talk about metrics. Put the spreadsheet away, at least this time. Look them in the eye and ask, what is the hardest part of your job right now that I don't see? And then shut the hell up and listen. Your culture is only as strong as your managers. At BR1, our entire philosophy is built on the fact that no organization can grow faster than its ability to recruit and retain enough of the right people. But we also know that recruiting and retention issues are almost always leadership and culture issues in disguise. You cannot recruit your way out of a retention problem if your frontline managers are checked out. Candidates are incredibly smart today. The candidate experience is crucial. When a potential hire walks into your shop for an interview, they can immediately sense if the person interviewing them is exhausted, unsupported, and disengaged. You will lose top talent before they even clock in for day one. And we don't believe that people just don't want to work. We believe it's in every company's best interest to become a premier and sought-after employer. And you do that by building a bulletproof leadership team, right? When your managers feel supported, equipped, and recognized, that energy floods into the field. Your crews get better, your turnover drops, and your reputation as an employer skyrockets. You know, your crews will only ever be as engaged as the people leading them. Gallup just proved the gap is real, and it's getting worse. The companies closing that gap are not doing anything magic. They're just refusing to set their managers loose and calling it leadership development. So go check on your branch managers this week. Not their numbers, them. If you're realizing right now that your leadership pipeline needs serious work, and you want to become that premier employer who attracts the best talent in your market, we can help. At BR1, we help business leaders build the culture, the recruitment plan, and the retention strategies needed to build stronger teams. I'd encourage you to visit us at businessresources1.com to get started. Until next time, keep building your stronger team.